It was just really hard to constantly go to school every day and like feel like an outcast.
Couldn't go back to my home, my place of refuge after losing my own control.
Like they would both kind of just walk by me in the hall and like make snide remarks.
Just the comments that were getting to me, it was, you fucking faggot, you're fucking disgusting. You know, you're gonna get what you deserve.
250 Canadian teenagers die from suicide each year.
LGBTQ students experience harassment.
Homosexuals account for 10% of the general population.
30% of homeless youth identified as LGBTQ.
19% of men and 25% of women are physically abused by their families for being
Every
gay.
5 hours and 48 minutes, a homosexual will commit suicide.
I am me.
About 30% of youth who are homeless identify as LGBTQ. And so the reason for that is either youth are too afraid to come out to their parents, and so they would rather be living on the street than to come out, or youth who do come out to parents and get kicked out.
When it had become known that I was gay, I was no longer welcome with the family. I was asked to leave the home. Like, they tried to process the fact that I was gay. So when people tend to get kicked out, their parents are panicking. They don't know what to do. My parents tried to deal with it, and about a month and a half later, they had asked me to leave because they couldn't live with me because they didn't know how to deal with it.
When I came out, it was kind of awkward. Like my friends weren't that close to me, and they would kind of like talk behind my back. There was one part that kind of defined like the moment where I lost a lot of my friends. I was in class, and one of my friends passed me a note, and she was kind of just talking to me about me being gay and seeing if it was true, and I just told her yes, because I wasn't really I guess afraid to voice who I was. You know, I wasn't ashamed of being gay, and I didn't see anything wrong with it. So I openly told my friends and family.
My mother personally, she has been here since 1969. She's Pakistani, so she comes from kind of a strict religious background, but she's really educated. So when I let her know that, you know, I was gay, obviously she had a hard time coming to terms with it because I'm the only son in the family. But you know, she realizes that it's not a choice that I've made for myself, and she used to say, she used to think that maybe it was just a phase or something I was just going through, wanting to be like everyone else or my friends. But now, at this stage of her life, she asserts that she just wants her children to be happy, regardless of who they end up with.
They generally didn't care before until they realized how bad my life has gotten to the point with my twin sister and I, and homophobia, and how bad it really is in the area that we live in. They're there for me now, to an extent. I don't live with them anymore, I can't. What I would like to see change is eventually being able to talk to each other again, and share the things that we've missed out on, and be able to become a family again, because I've lost that sense of family. I don't have a sense of home, and it's all because of the fact that I'm gay. And to me, that's not okay.
Isn't the whole point of parenthood to parent your child in a way that they feel comfortable in their own skin and that they can become who they're meant to be? And certainly, if they happen to be LGBTQ, that's part of who they are. That's a small part of who they are. It's not their whole being.
I see like a lot of people that have been hurt and like not accepted by their parents, and like I've never been through that, and I see how much people do hurt.
Well, as I came out and it was becoming known, that's when I started losing a lot of friends. I used to have a few good close friends. They were there for me, but not when school was happening. They didn't like what was happening to me, and they couldn't be around it because they felt ashamed being known as a part to who I am.
Around the age of 16, I was going into was near the end of grade 11, and I don't know, I kind of like experimented with like some drugs, and it was just really hard to constantly go to school every day and like feel like an outcast.
I mean, bullying is really about othering, right? It's about you're not like me, so I'm going to make your life difficult because you're different than I am.
I was threatened by, with knives or, I'm gonna kill you, die, faggot, die, and I would get jumped. And twice in high school, I was bashed for it. So people would come, like, it would be a group, it wouldn't be just one. Like, I would get in fights too, where I would have to defend myself, but most of the times it would be people coming and jumping me and pounding on me, and I'd be going home with bruises, cuts, bleeding, teared clothes. I was never safe, so principals only decided that switching me back and forth between high schools was the best option.
I know that there are different groups that, or different, what are they called? Different groups, I guess, that are anti-bullying, and there's a zero tolerance policy that's in high schools, but there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. I mean, whether it's on lunch or after school, the teachers can't always be there to protect you. So I know what they're recently thinking of starting is Jamie's Law for Jamie Hubley, who recently committed suicide, and just, letting anyone know when you see someone being bullied. But at the same time, I feel like in the age group that mainly affects, they're such an impressionable group that, if their friends aren't saying anything, that they're not going to either.
A lot of people would make fun of me or say that I like them or I was checking them out. There was one girl in high school that every time I would go to gym class in grade 9, it was divided up into two sections, and mostly like the popular girls were on the one side, and like kind of people that kept to themselves were on the other side, or probably people who were like afraid of their body, didn't really want other people to see. And there was this one girl, and she, almost every class, she would come over to the other side and like basically like take her shirt off and like basically like show her like chest in my face and be like, oh, you like this, etc. And it was, I don't know, it was really like offensive. It made me feel like just even like looking at any girl was wrong.
I think what high schools can do, because right now it just seems like they're not doing enough, what they could do is implement different resources, or I think the biggest way to get rid of discrimination is through education. So by exposing them to, having like different speakers come in from different socioeconomic statuses and different, I guess, sexualities or whatever, just come in and speak to them about, their experiences, what it means to them, and how they've overcome the discrimination that they faced. I think that would help students probably relate to the issue a lot more, as opposed to just hearing about it in the media and not really ever being exposed to it.
Studies have shown, and it's not the first time that we know this, that suicide attempts, and likely people who die by suicide as well, are more represented in the LGBTQ community than in the general population. So, for example, in terms of the general population, people who identify as LGBTQ represent approximately 10% of the general population, but we know that in terms of suicide attempts at least, and perhaps also people who die by suicide are more likely to be LGBTQ, so the percentage is greater than 10%.
Jamie Hubley, who's a 15-year-old youth in Ottawa, he committed suicide after blogging about it for about a month or so, and saying that, it was getting really overwhelming. He was getting really frustrated. He felt like he had no one to relate to or nobody to turn to. And so all of his, I guess, protests or cries for help just went unignored.
And you would think we as a nation, when we see the gay teen suicides on the rise, you'd think we would ask, why is there this disparity? Why are we not, as humans, examining the deeper reasoning as to why we're creating this difference.
There's groups that you can go to and counselors, and you know what, like, it's okay to like cry sometimes and just like let it all out rather than like resorting to like ending your life, because the strong people push through that, and like it takes a lot to push through, and you can only grow from like the pain that you suffer in life, like bullying and like other things, and in the end, like, that's gonna make you such a better person in the long run if you push through rather than giving up.
To reach out to the people in your life that do love you and care about you. There are so many different, I guess, resources in the community that are available that are there just to help children like that, or to help troubled youth who are contemplating suicide. So, you know, I personally did contemplate it myself when I was younger, and I just realized it wasn't really worth it, because I have so much of my life left to live, and for me to just give in would mean that I've let them win.
The best thing I can do and say is you really need to take the fight to the core of your heart. You have to. And you will have to be stronger than the rest. But know that when being just stronger and holding your head up above all of it, that's the true coming out. Not when you told someone you were first gay. It's when you've made it and you're happy in the world and your head is held high. And because of that, you'll become so resilient and so enigmatic that you'll be surrounded by an abundance of people that will see you as who you really are and not your gay friend. But you have to be willing to hold on and willing to find the people that will be there for you, no matter how hard it is just to find them. They're there.
I am me.